Good morning.
Good to see you. So,
Nice to be seen.
in they come. The UK government has sanctioned Abramovich. Did you see this one coming, or was this the next logical step as the invasion of Ukraine carries on?
It was the next logical step. I mean, there's been an element of Labour being very effective in pushing the government to stop allowing money of certain types not to be declared in this country and not to be registered on certain registers. The government wanted to do it over 18 months, then 6 months, and Labour have been very effective in pushing them because there's a little bit of cronyism going, letting people get their affairs in order. Abramovich is a high-profile target, so it was not surprising to me that A, they were going to sanction him, and B, that they've done it relatively expeditiously because of the profile that Abramovich achieved in the first place. He bought a football club to give himself a public domain profile for various reasons. He's disposing of that football club because he wants to get away from the public domain profile. So it was inevitable to me that they were going to sanction Abramovich. And what that means to Chelsea is interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of hyperbole will now pop out about how the sale will be stopped and how this will affect Chelsea. And there's an alternative set of arguments to that. Because Chelsea, Abramovich has already kind of half circumvented that. He's already made a declaration that none of the proceeds from this sale will go anywhere near him. They will go to a fund for the victims of the Ukrainian war, invasion, what you ever want to call it. Now, of course, people are saying, what do those victims look like? Is it the Ukrainians? Is it the Russian soldiers? But put that to one side. If Abramovich is not receiving one penny of these proceeds and there's a ring fencing mechanism for the people that are disposing of it, I don't see any reason why this sale would be stopped as long as the government can ascertain that Abramovich does not receive one single ruble, pound, euro, whatever currency is going to be paid in, and they can make sure of that. Then I don't see that some of the sensational headlines that will flow about the suspending of the sale of this football club will actually manifest themselves in reality.
Well, it's been reported this morning that Chelsea can still operate under a special licence, but that the sale is now on hold. So is that the case? We're joined live by the Times chief sports correspondent Matt Lawton. Matt, good morning.
Morning, Jim.
Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Is the sale of the football club effectively on hold? What can you tell us?
It is on hold, but I tend to agree with Simon. It seems slightly illogical to me not to allow the sale to go through if the government are confident that Abramovich is, as he has said, not going to make any money out of it. Why would you not allow the ownership of such an important asset to English football to pass to someone who isn't a Russian oligarch? But right now they are in this extraordinary situation. You know, we've been probably why I look slightly dishevelled this morning. Forgive me for that, but it's just been a slightly bonkers couple of hours.
I can imagine. This is unprecedented. What is happening to this football club? They can sell a cup of coffee because they're allowing them to keep their catering facilities open. I guess because if people go to a match and they're there for 3 or 4 hours, it would actually be a health risk not to allow people to
pre-purchase stock, I suspect, Matt, as well.
Have fluids or pre-purchase stock. You still got to sell it. But what they can't do is they can't sell any more tickets. So only people with season tickets can attend the matches. They won't be able to sell any more tickets to away fans. So perhaps, for their next home game, some of those tickets have already been sold. So we might still see some away fans. But for the rest of the season, unless things change, you're not going to see any away fans.
They can gift them, Matt. They can gift the tickets. They can meet their obligations of giving a 10% quota by gifting the tickets.
Yeah, okay. I hadn't thought of that, Simon, but there speaks an experienced former football club owner. But what they certainly can't do at the moment is think about business in the transfer market. They can't renegotiate players' contracts. So there are a number of players, I think, that are out of contract at the end of the season. As things stand, they won't be able to renegotiate those contracts. So it is an extraordinary situation. I know that the Premier League have spent the last week anticipating this issue, which is why we have got this solution where they've been granted a license, which means that they can keep playing. Because obviously the big concern for the Premier League, Jim, was the fact that you suddenly reduce the Premier League to 19 teams. What on earth do you do with the rest of Chelsea's fixtures? It could affect the whole outcome of the Premier League. So that's the solution. But no, right now the sale is on hold. All the plans to have all the bidders in the Rain Group in New York, all the bidders in by next Tuesday, and then push on from there. That process has been halted.
I mean, it's developing as we speak, Matt. We're hearing that Chelsea officials are due to meet the government later today. So obviously there will be a meeting of minds as to where this will go. But undoubtedly, this is a pivotal moment, isn't it?
It's like nothing we've ever seen before in English football. Look, it's not a surprise. As I say, Simon hit the nail on the head. This has been coming from the moment Putin ordered the invasion. So, and when you actually get into the detail of what the government have put online in terms of the actual sanctions, there's some pretty unpalatable stuff in there. There's talk, a steel firm that Abramovich is linked to that's actually been putting the steel into Russian tanks. It's pretty uncomfortable stuff for Chelsea Football Club. I do wonder where else this leads. Do the sponsors, what about all the Chelsea sponsors? Are they going to start deserting Chelsea? It's the government have made no secret of the fact of Abramovich's links to Putin. It's a bad situation for Chelsea.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the fans obviously are asking us to answer as many questions as we can, Matt. But certainly what we can establish is, even although the sale of the club is on hold, Simon, you think there is, to a degree, a way around that?
Yeah, of course I do.
Only season ticket holders can go to games in the foreseeable future. So the man in the street cannot go into Stamford Bridge or anywhere else and attempt to buy a ticket and hope to see the game. For Abramovich, I mean, this on a personal front for him, this is an absolute disaster, isn't it? All his UK assets have been frozen, Matt, from this point onwards.
Yeah, but these are sanctions that are being imposed globally against the Russian oligarchs. So it might be a disaster, but I don't think we're going to have a great deal of sympathy for it. It's I do have sympathy for Chelsea and for their fans because it is such an uncertain time. But again, I agree with Simon. The fact is already in the language, being issued by the government, is the possibility of an additional license to allow the club to be sold. And I think as long as the government are satisfied that Abramovich isn't going to make any profit from a sale, it seems illogical to me to stop it. Why would you not want, given all the concern that we've had in recent years around the ownership of our football clubs, why would you not want to have a solution if there is someone out there, whether it's Nick Candy or Josh Harris or whoever it is?
Yeah.
Why would you not want someone out there to just go, I'll come and take it. I'll take it. Let's get him out of London. Let's cut all ties with Abramovich.
And of course, any purchaser coming in, Matt, will make it a condition precedent that they understand where the purchase price is going. So it'll be a double whammy. The government will intervene, ensure that whoever's been charged with the disposal of the asset will receive the funds, and that funds are ring-fenced. The condition precedent that the purchaser coming in will be that we're not buying this football club unless we understand that the proceeds are going where Abramovich dictated. The terminology that Abramovich used 10 days ago or a week ago was very curious to me about net proceeds because it didn't make sense. Because the net proceeds, there's no such thing as net proceeds. There's gross proceeds because he's not asking for any recalling of the money he's put in the club. So the gross proceeds.
I suppose the net proceeds was the fact that they owe 58 million quid to other creditors, and
that's irrelevant. But that's a going concern. That will be taken on by the incoming purchasers, and they're adjusted in the purchase price. But the only thing that will be deducted is agents' fees and stamp duty. But the gross proceeds are what's going to be disposed to or distributed to this idea that Abramovich mooted, which was all the proceeds go to the victims of the war. And of course, we know that there's an argument about what that looks like. It's got to be Ukrainians and not Russian soldiers or Russian soldiers' families.
I think it's already been indicated that the Russians will be involved in that. If there are Russian soldiers who are killed, then as I understand it, some of that money will be directed towards them.
Which again, no, I think the point with this intervention is that the government will now have oversight of all of this.
Absolutely right, and that's right too, and that's right and proper, because Abramovich can't be trusted on the basis of what he said because of the nature of his associations. So with all things in mind, if the government put a ring fence around it, the transfer of the sale can go forward and the distribution of the proceeds will be held, but the transfer of ownership will be allowed, because there's no sense in doing that, because all you're going to do is kill a very large asset, because it's got no funding, it's got no revenue, it's got no real owner anymore. And a transfer of ownership will be allowed. It'll just be the government, like you quite rightly say, Matt, policing it.
I mean, what we do know, Matt, before you go, mate, is that a lot of non-season ticket holding fans can now no longer go to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless, as I say, Simon is, 3 steps ahead in terms of how much thought I've applied to this, because he has the experience of having owned a football club. I think it's quite clever if they do think of that. So just say to away fans, you can come, we won't charge you. That is actually,
and they'll do the same thing with the travelling fans, because ultimately, if you're playing Man United away, the money that's being collected is on behalf of Manchester United. So they'll just redistribute the fact that Chelsea fans can travel to Man United away if they're playing Man United away by buying tickets from Man United's box office rather than Chelsea's.
There's a club shot now at Stamford Bridge. You can't buy merchandise now, I believe.
That's right. That is in there. And as I say, this all comes down to the minutiae of the licenses, and as as Simon has said, I think it will all be in the minutiae of any license that is issued, for the sale of the club. All these requirements will be in there to make sure that it is done properly and to the satisfaction of the government.
Matt, I know you're busy. I know you're up to your eyes in it, in fact, but you've given us 20 minutes of your time, and I appreciate it. Matt Lawton, the chief sports correspondent of The Times. So the UK government has decided to sanction Abramovich. Very shortly, we're going to hear from the head of the DCMS at the government, and he is Julian Knight MP.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.